Nation. Thank you for joining us on the Only Nation podcast, brought to you by the Raider Ramble. My name is Heidi, but you may know me as Kevlar Prom Dress or even Raider Ladybug. I'm here with Raider Homer and T3 Raider Facts, and we're ready to talk some Raiders football together.
Always ready to talk Raider football. And we're back from hiatus, so I'm itching. Let's talk.
Hey, Homer. Hey, Heidi. And hello, Raider Nation. Let's go.
All right, on this episode, we've got Raiders news for you. Plus, we'll be having a special interview with a gal with a great name, Heidi Fang.
Not that you're biased, but yeah, it's a great name.
It's a great name.
Double Heidi.
Vegas Heidi and Heidi.
Only way we could possibly come back. Had been out for about a month, thanks to my little cross-country venture. And the best way to come back is with a bang.
Or with a fang. Ha, ha, ha.
Uh-huh. See what you did there.
Oh, you saw that.
Boo.
Oh, come on.
Bad. That was bad.
Hey, that's all my jokes are corny like that. If it's cheesy, it's easy, right? It's the best way to do it.
Well, I can definitely attest to that being your life motto.
All right, Raider Nation, we would love to hear from you, so here's how you can get in touch with us. You can leave us a message on the Only Nation podcast voicemail line at 904-701-8667, 904-701-8667, or you can also text us at that number. Or our email address is onlynationpod@gmail.com. And we can also be found on Twitter and Instagram at Only Nation Pod. You can also check us out on YouTube at The Only Nation Podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to all your favorite social media account and podcasting apps. Don't forget to send us a message with your name and address, and we'll get some free Raider swag sent out to you. That's right, not only stickers, but we got some Only Nation Podcast magnets. So just hit us up, Raider Nation. We'd love to send it out to you. Also, check out our new website at onlynationpod.com.
And we got more coming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that face mask thingy that you were showing me, Heidi, that was awesome. So, yeah.
Yeah, we're working on getting a little bit of merch set up. It's not going to be something we're going to promote too much, but it'll be available if anybody is interested in it.
Oh, I'll promote it on my YouTube channel for sure.
All right. Okay, in the latest news, Molson Coors has been named an official beer partner of the Las Vegas Raiders and a founding partner of Allegiant Stadium.
That's cool.
Yeah, shame I don't get to drink anymore.
I got that 2020 tall boy can sitting right next to me.
Is it full or empty?
It's full. I don't really drink Coors, Plus, it's a collectible, because I also got the Bud Light Raiders can sitting right next to it. So. But, being the president of the Black Hole Austin chapter, I'm supposed to, talk about Modelo and Corona. So that's kind of cool. Oh, wait. Spoiler alert. We'll get to that later.
Yep.
Wow.
Uh-oh.
Spoiling everything.
Yeah.
Cheesy, spoiling everything. All right. The other things are the Raiders alumni. They have received their certificates of their honorary legacy bricks at Allegiant Stadium. That's a little bit older news, but that's cool.
Yeah, this is another thing that I have. It was definitely an honor, because I put me and my daughter's name on it. So better not say it in case people get mad at me, they go scratch it out or something. But it was definitely something cool to have, to be a part of the stadium. This is this is monumental, man, for the Raiders and the Raider Nation having that stadium there. So I'm glad I was a part of that.
When I make a trip out there, I'll have to make sure to find it and take a picture of it and send it back to you.
That'll be cool. That'll be real
I
cool.
know what it says. I know what it says.
Would you consider that cheesy?
No.
Yeah, see, not everything I write is cheesy.
Okay, not everything. All right, in really cool news, PFF ranks the Las Vegas Raiders as having the number one offensive line entering the 2020 season. It's about time.
Yeah, we've had a good line for a long time. I think all except for Gruden's first year back when we had the two rookie tackles. That was probably the worst year, since we signed Rodney Hudson. So I don't know how much I value PFF, and all the other things, the websites like that, but they do the research. So, and other, the organizations are starting to take a closer look at PFF. So I guess maybe I should too. But I've known we've had a number one offense, number one type offense, offensive line for a while now, except for that
Yeah,
1 year.
PFF is not the be all end all, but I do agree with them on this one.
Yeah.
And I found that PFF is a lot more accurate when it's something that I agree with. When I don't agree with it, it's a lot less accurate.
I think I agree with you there.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
We've been apart too long, guys.
Yeah, I'm having fun though.
Yes, we are. And the NFL has decided that there will be no supplemental draft this year.
Well, there went all the fun, right? Because everything's just changing so much with this COVID stuff. We lost the draft as a nation. We didn't go see our new stadium. Now we lost 2 preseason games. Now this, I mean, and then they're talking about playing college football if they can't play it in the fall and the spring. I mean, that's really gonna mess up the draft, right? Like, wow, this COVID thing is just messing everything up. It's got me a little depressed, to tell you the truth. I mean, I'm not even really watching a whole lot of the NFL Network or anything. It's just nothing good seems to be coming out of it. The news, news-wise.
I'm glad that we're back here together. We got to work you out of this depression here.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And I'm not watching the NFL Network because my provider is in an argument with them over airing it.
Oh, see?
I'm really mad about that.
Well, it is definitely a
can't
good
watch
thing that we're
it.
back together now.
Yeah, I'm going to change my provider if they can't get it worked out and the season starts.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Definitely. Training camps, though, they're still scheduled to start on July 28th.
Fingers
What do you guys
crossed.
think about that? Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I will comment on that a little bit later in my Heidi's High Five.
Okay. All right, Homer, why don't you tell us about some of the game protocols that the NFL has come up with for this year?
All right. The NFL game protocols will be very different this year due to the coronavirus, of course. Vinny Bonsignor reports the following changes. Significantly limited field level access for non-players and coaches. Sorry, Karen Metters. COVID-19 screening for anyone with field access. I get, I think that's the new thing now. Every day when I go to work, I get like my temperature taken. I just like put my head in front of this little laser and it shoots out my temperature, So, yes, the world is changing and it's going to keep changing. It's very weird. Dedicated entrance and exit tunnels to and from the field for players and staff members. I guess they're going to go in. Well, I mean, I don't know what that means. They're going to, the coaches in one and the players in one, or I don't know. But, I mean, social distancing, man. I mean, I'm a loner, so I don't know. This is getting weird. Outfitting, training, and equipment staff with cleaning products to continually clean benches and sideline equipment. I mean, that's a new job. At least COVID's providing new jobs, right?
Yeah.
A ban on one player sharing towels during the game. I mean, who the hell's going to share a towel during the game, though? I mean, that's a weird one. All right. Once both teams are in the host city, they will be required to bus to games. I thought they already did that, though. I guess maybe they drive in their cars or something.
Yeah, maybe the local ones were doing that.
Yeah. All right.
The home teams.
The media will no longer have access to locker rooms. I'm sure the players love that.
Yeah.
I'm happy for the players. That's got to be infuriating to, have a heart-wrenching loss and then have to deal with a microphone being shoved in your face while you're half naked.
Or if you just had a really bad game.
Yeah. But that's not good for people like us that, watch those films and try to, that get some insider tips or, maybe not tips, but get some insight to the players' reactions and things like that and help you form opinions. So we'll see.
But we're that good that it doesn't matter.
Okay. I watch a lot of those, though, so maybe you, but all right. The media will no longer, all game day personnel will be required to fill out COVID-19 symptom and exposure questionnaire. Man. Okay. And then now they want us to sign a waiver to go in the game. So not only are they going to reduce the amount of people that can go into the games, they want you to sign a waiver. That's, I don't know. And players will no longer be allowed to interact within 6 feet of each other following games. Oh, man. But what about the huddles, though?
I can tackle you, but I can't shake your hand.
You know, I think that I've heard they're gonna have shields too, right? Like full shields on their face masks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Their uniforms look like Cobra Command. They're really cool.
Cobra.
that could actually be kind of cool looking.
Why they all come out Cobra? Oh, wait. All
The
right.
mock-ups I've seen, it looks like really cool. It looks like something out of a, futuristic G.I. Joe. It
This
really
whole
does.
thing is like something out of a futuristic movie. You know. All right. Jersey exchanges between players will be prohibited. I mean, I wonder how the player is going to take that. I know they're going to think about safety, right? But they like to do that a lot, you know. So,
Yeah, they do.
you know, I don't know, man. This NFL this year is going to be weird, you know. And then, of course, who knows how long it's going to last? Who knows how many people are going to want to take vaccinations after this, you know? So
Hmm.
the world's going to be
And of course,
very
here's the
different.
thing: everything we're reporting right now, by the time this podcast even hits, it may be completely different.
Yeah.
It could.
Yep. All right, so Tom Pelissero reports that NFLRA Executive Director Scott Green told him that NFL officials are expected to wear some kind of face coverings and gloves and potentially could use handheld electronic whistles in 2020. But hey, who cares about the referees, right?
Exactly. That's why I kind of just put that at the end.
All right, here's an Allegiant Stadium update. According to information from Raiders Wire, we're now in the 2-minute drill. That's what they're calling the finishing touches left on Allegiant Stadium, which I like to call the Aliceum. I should probably get a trademark on that.
You should.
Anyway, one of the recent developments was the video boards, which as of today were fully operational with video and sound. It's one of many signs that the stadium is nearing completion, so it was fitting that John Gruden from his office in the team's new headquarters up the street used the board to deliver a message to the construction crew in the stadium. It's pretty cool. Here's what he said. I just have to tell you, the stadium looks freaking awesome. It's what he told the coworkers. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. And I just want to congratulate all you workers on an incredible accomplishment during adversity. It's the 2-minute drill. You've done 99% of the work, maybe 97% of the work. I just challenge you to finish like a champ. Now, I did this without my Gruden impersonation. Well, at least he didn't get on the video board and scream, I want better effing execution.
I want to point out one thing about that video, though. He told everybody to wear a mask after he did the video. He only put the mask on after the video. What about the camera crew and everybody else there? I don't
Right.
know. But hey, all right.
Yeah. In other news, former Raiders running back Napoleon Kaufman told Randall Cunningham about a year ago that he wanted to pass the torch to him as team chaplain when the franchise relocated to Las Vegas. Now, Randall, a former NFL quarterback and MVP, is the senior pastor for Remnant Ministries International, and he now takes over as the team's chaplain. And you can check them out on Facebook. Search Remnant Ministries. And just so you know, I've reached out to both Randall and Napoleon to see if we can get either one or both on the show. I'll keep you posted on that.
Man, T3, I love the work that you put in behind the scenes for this podcast, man. I really do appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm a Gruden grinder.
Yes, sir, you are.
You are.
In lighter news, Madden has announced that the speed rating for Henry Ruggs III is 98, second only to the Chiefs' Tyreek Hill, who has a rating of 99. Ruggs ran a 4.2740 at the combine. More importantly, since the injury he sustained when he helped a friend move, there have been no more incidents. Thank goodness
God.
for that.
Yeah.
And we also have some sad news to report. The Raiders family was saddened to learn a couple of weeks ago of the passing of Joe Bugle. Bugle's regarded as one of the top offensive line coaches in NFL history. He played college football for the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers before becoming a college assistant coach, first with the Naval Academy, then with Iowa State and Ohio State. Prior to joining the Redskins, where he experienced his greatest success, he served as the offensive line coach and assistant for the Detroit Lions and the Houston Oilers. He was then head coach of the Phoenix Cardinals from 1990 to 93, and then spent 3 seasons with the Raiders as assistant head coach before being promoted to head coach in 1997. And then he was succeeded in 1998 by none other than John Gruden. Joe Bugle was 80 years old, and the thoughts and prayers of the Raider Nation are with Joe's family at this time. So we want to definitely say our thoughts and prayers are with Joe's entire family as well as the Raider Nation.
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
May he Raider in peace, that's it's always sad to see.
And then I would also like to add that we had a passing of one of our super fans. Mad Raider, Mad Hatter Raider.
The
I
Mad
saw
Hatter.
that. Yeah.
He passed away due to COVID infection, and everyone was coming together trying to pull for him, but he didn't make it. So, Raider in peace.
Yeah, another one to keep in your prayers is Albert Luna from KOS. Him and his wife they believe that they have COVID and they just went and got tested. So keep them in your prayers. And then, hey, shout out to Jester Raider, who I think he's overcome it, but he was facing COVID also. Yeah, it's awesome to see that the Raider Nation comes together and sends out all those prayers of healing and things like that. And because these are trying times, unprecedented, whatever you want to say. It's definitely scary. It's not a joke. It's something to be taken seriously. Put on your mask. They got all kinds of cool masks. You can go to NFL.com and get your damn cool Raider mask, but do it, guys. I put on a mask every time I go into the store, and I put, hand sanitizer before going there and put hand sanitizer when I come out. If I see they have the disinfectant towels, I wipe down the shopping cart, so take it seriously. Do whatever you can to protect each other, right? Because we all know that the science behind it, the mask doesn't prevent you from getting the virus. It just helps you from spreading the virus. If you're the what is it? What is it? Help me out. Asymptomatic. Yeah. So
And there's still argument over that too. It might protect you. They're not even sure.
okay. Well,
We just have to remember that we're all in this together.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's all look out for each other, even if they're 49er fans. All right. We're still gonna look out for them.
I was going to say Denver, but whatever.
No. And that was one thing that was good to see, with our Raiders that have been fighting this disease, that the support has been coming from outside of Raider Nation as well.
Yeah.
And everyone's been pulling together because when it comes down to it, we're all just people.
Yes. Yeah.
Some of us just have better taste in football teams.
Amen to that.
And on that note, let us get into another important segment, Heidi's High Five.
All right. Okay. Here is this week's version of Heidi's High Five. Number one, the Raiders are still playing around with the idea of bringing in Jadeveon Clowney. Now, personally, I think he's going to end up back in Seattle. But if the price is right, Clowney could add some major kick to that already potentially stout line for the Raiders. And if they can make it home to the quarterback a lot more this season, the turnovers will go up. And that is what made the difference for the Raiders back in 2016 and their last playoff appearance. So that's certainly something to keep an eye out for in the next couple of weeks. Number two, so here's the theory on where we are now. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Tom Brady left New England. And the Raiders left California. And naturally, the entire sports landscape just imploded. So we're now going to have to rebuild things. My guess is that the rebirth of the NFL, sports as we know it, and the return to glory of the Raider brand all coincides with this startup in Vegas, which leads me now to a prediction. And here it is, number three. Now, I hope I'm wrong, but I'm predicting that the first 4 games of the regular season are going to get canceled because of spikes in the pandemic. We will eventually win this thing, but we're still in the early stages. This means that the Raiders' first opponent will be Kansas City in week 5. And I'm saying right here, right now, that the Raiders are going to win their opener and start out the season at least tied for the division lead. Just remember, you heard it here first. Number 4, Derek Carr was at the park earlier in the summer, and he hit the most important golf shot of his life. He teed up the ball, pulled out his driver, measured up the ball, and when he swung the club, the ball exploded into a cloud of pink powder. Yes, it was the famous gender reveal as the Carrs announced the expected arrival of a daughter. Now the fun really begins as they bring a little girl into the mix. Congratulations and best wishes to Derek and Heather and the entire Carr family. Oh, by the way, they let Heather hit a golf shot too, which also exploded in a pink burst. And then someone from the crowd of family and friends yelled out, "Hey, both your balls are pink." I thought that was pretty funny.
It would have been even more funny if they would have said they're both blue, but hey.
Number 5, I personally don't have any tats, but my wife has 3. Now, having said that, I love the way people express themselves through personal ink, especially some of the young Raiders, including Mad Max Crosby, showing off that proud Raider logo. Now, here's the thing. There's just something about that Raider head, that shield, those crossed swords, that silver and black image that stirs the soul. Not dolphins, not eagles, not even an arrowhead. This is what Al Davis truly envisioned when it came to marketing and branding. You don't see people going around proudly flashing a Bengals hat or a Falcons logo. This is a clue to the rest of the world that there is only one nation, Raider Nation. And that is this week's version of Heidi's High Five.
Excellent. Great job, T3, as always. Now, Raider Nation, you all know that T3 first appeared on this podcast as a caller. So we want to give out our contact information again because we want to hear from y'all. So give us a call at 904-701-8667. Leave a voicemail or a text. And don't forget to send us your address in text and we can, or email, and we will send you out some of the merch that we have, which is a sticker and a magnet right now. So be sure that you contact us.
And we'll even throw in a little bit of extra free Raider swag.
Yay!
That brings us to our third important segment. Not first, not second,
the
but third.
third.
Homer, did you know?
All right, in this week's version of Hey Homer, did you know? Now, when you think of offensive performances by the Raiders, you think about the 2010 blowout against Denver and some of those over-the-top Rich Gannon-led offenses. But back in 1968, the Raiders posted 3 of their top 10 offensive performances in franchise history, including a win over Cincinnati, where the team put up, get this, 604 yards in total offense. But that performance was only number 2 on the list. Do you know what the highest offensive output in a game was for the Raiders? Here's a hint. Al Davis was the head coach. Any guesses?
So Tom Flores would have been the quarterback, and he was throwing to Wells, right? So that's about all I know. I don't really know that much about the offensive performances from back then. So no, I do not know. But please enlighten me.
Okay, well, it actually doesn't involve Flores at all, and it's a little bit before Warren Wells. The Raiders hosted the Denver Broncos on October 25th, 1964, and they won the game 40-7 on 637 yards of total offense. Receiver Art Powell had 152 receiving yards and scored 2 touchdowns, and tight end Billy Cannon added 111 yards receiving and scored 2 touchdowns. Raiders quarterback Cotton Davidson threw for 427 yards and 5 touchdowns that day. Now, in the area of 3 yards in a cloud of dust, 637 yards of total offense is a ton, and it happened way back in 1964. And that is this week's edition of Hey Homer, Did You Know?
I do now.
Back in 1964, there was definitely not offense like that. Nowadays, I wouldn't be such a shock, but for back then, before offenses were opened up, that's a lot, an awful lot.
It is a ton.
All right, now it's time for us to lead into our interview with Miss Heidi Fang.
I can't believe you almost messed up your own name.
Shut up.
Heidi Fang.
Our guest today has established herself as a video sports journalist, working primarily in the San Francisco, New York, and Las Vegas markets. She was the first woman hired to work full-time in SiriusXM's sports department. She currently has been with the Las Vegas Review-Journal for over 4 years, reporting on the Las Vegas Raiders and combat sports. In addition to hosting the Vegas Nation podcast and the RJ Ringside podcast, she's agreed to join us here today. We're very happy to welcome another Heidi to the show, Heidi Fang.
Well, thank you so much there, Heidi. I really appreciate you guys having me on today. I'm excited to be here.
We are very excited to have you here.
Yes, welcome.
Welcome.
Thank
Hey,
you.
Hey, dog. There, yeah.
I appreciate that, dog.
Welcome.
Yes, that was Jean Grey.
Nice.
Awesome. X-Men
Yes.
dog.
All right. I will just jump right into the questions with you. Heidi, were you a sports fan growing up? And how did you know that covering sports would be it for you? That this was what you wanted to do with your life?
Yeah, thanks. It's definitely always been a passion of mine since I was a kid, and my grandparents were probably the first to start stadium proposals back at Kazar Stadium back in the day. My mother's a huge I'm sorry to say this on this podcast, 49er fan, and she loved football from the onset and always kind of just taught me the game. And my father's actually a coach, so he's coached. And a lot of times after school, what I would be doing my homework on was a bleacher bench, out watching him coaching my brothers, and just working different drills with people. So eventually, like, one of my friends put it like, he said, "You're like that little girl and Remember the Titans that was screaming on the sideline saying, 'You should be calling the jet sweep there,'" something like that. So it's always been something that I've been involved with. And even like my first playground brawl was because I was trying to get involved in a football game with the boys, and they didn't want to let me play. And then I did play anyway. And then so they threw me the ball right off, right? I mean, they figured I wasn't going to catch it, or I don't know. They just threw it right to me, and I caught it, and I ran into the what was the end zone there, which was a bunch of like little twigs wrapped around like some grass bushes and stuff like
Uh-huh.
that. Yeah, we got in a fight because the other team said I didn't get into the right grass pile or whatever it was. And yeah, it was always been something I've been involved with. I've always been kind of a tomboy, and it's just always been what spoke to me.
Let me latch on to what you mentioned very quickly there. Your grandparents started stadium proposals at Kazar Stadium?
Well, no, not officially. I just, they got engaged at a 49er game back, I believe it was like 1949 or so back there. And my grandmother said it was at Kazar that they were at, and they rode the trolley and got proposed right after a football game out there. So I never did ask her what game it was. She's passed now, but I remember her telling me the story, and it was always something that I was like, wow, that was really cool.
That is
I
awesome.
don't know if everybody thinks it.
Yeah,
I
did
think
they
it
ever
was
talk
cool.
about the
Yeah.
Raiders playing there?
Yeah, no. My father's quite like a historian on these types of things. So yeah, he did tell me that, their first season was spent there, and a little bit at Kansas Sick as well. So it's some of the things that I've kept up with. And he was my father, a huge John Madden fan. So just following his stories and what he told me as I was growing up, it was like he really enjoyed that era of the Raiders as they came up with Madden and everything. So it's something I've always kind of followed with my parents and just growing up in the Bay Area.
All right, awesome.
That's awesome.
Okay. Women have made tremendous strides in sportscasting over the past 4 decades, from Phyllis George joining the NFL today, all the way up to the present with Beth Mowins doing the Raiders preseason play by play. There have been many women trailblazers to emulate. Who in the industry, especially among women, do you look towards, and how would you like to build on their progress?
Wow, that's a great question. And there's so many that I've followed just because in the beginning, when you don't know how to execute the type of job that you want to do yourself, you look to others to emulate them. And my parents were both very blue collar workers, did not have college educations. My father was a farm worker and also now works as a custodian. And in addition to being a coach, he always had like four jobs growing up. But my mother, she was a mail carrier for the postal service. So when I wanted to go to school to become a journalist, they were just like, huh, that's something we can't really guide you, but we could support you. We don't know how to tell you how to get there to do what you need to do. So I just started taking all kinds of crazy jobs when I was like 16. With there were internships and different things that I was starting to look towards in high school, things, scholarships I was trying to get after to be able to open the door for myself. And I've always enjoyed watching people like Pam Oliver, Michelle Tafoya. Those were the two when I was growing up that I would always see out there. And I was like, wow, hopefully someday I can do that. But you see all different types of people that are pushing through and doing their thing. Even one of the voices I used to hear out in the Bay Area all the time, Renell, who was always like at the Raider games and doing different, calls and plays and things with the if you were at the Coliseum and you could hear her voice going through, I remember her. So it's always things like that that I've been following and looking towards, like, wow, they could get there. I could do it.
Yeah. And it's just amazing the strides they've made. It really is. And it kind of blows me away each year with each new milestone they reach.
Yeah.
Working with the Las Vegas Review Journal, you have had the opportunity to cover the Vegas Golden Knights. The city embraced them in their inaugural season, and they made it all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. Do you see the same excitement brewing for the Raiders? And do you think that level of success is going to be a necessary ingredient to duplicate that reaction?
I do see it. And the difference is that when the Vegas Golden Knights came, there was no pro team here. So Las Vegans really flocked behind that team. And then just with the Cinderella year that they had and getting all the way to the Stanley Cup, it was just something that you couldn't script. It was unbelievable. And the whole city was just in droves when you would walk around down the street wearing Golden Knights gear and just the different shades of gold you would see at
Mhm.
T-Mobile when you walk in. It was really something. So I think with football it's just a little different because a lot of people do have their allegiances already, but I think that the city is very excited to get this team. It's all the talk. If you go anywhere, well, I know obviously right now you can't go out talking to many people as we would normally, but in the circles that I talk with and the people that I see just around that I know, they're all always curious what's happening over at that stadium. When are the Raiders finally going to start a training camp, and when will we start seeing them out in public? And the Raiders have done a very good job of bringing all their different people out and alumni and Raiderettes and doing these appearances. Like Max Crosby's doing this radiothon with Jonathan Abram, and they're going to be doing something out here for the Children's Hospital. And I think that's amazing that all of this team is really come in here, gangbusters, just trying to get their foot in the ground and, communicate with all the people here out in the city. And I think that there's a lot of LA transplants as well that came up from this, Southern California to Las Vegas that are really excited for the Raiders to come here because it's for them. It's like they're back home again.
I know that a lot of the Oakland fan base has gone there too. You know, people like Cisco Ortega, Dirty Jers is there. Have you had any contact with the Black Hole though?
Yeah, yeah, there was a lady, I met her, and gosh, I wish I could remember her name. She had come out to the Las Vegas sign when they had just been announced by the governor to be a part of the city and all. And she said she had just bought a condominium down, I want to say it's less than 5 miles away from where the stadium's at. And she said it's a timeshare, but she's planning to spend a lot of time here during the fall seasons and all. So there's another guy that I met out in Tennessee,
Oh
Raider
yeah,
Joker,
yeah.
and he was out there and saying that he plans to follow them all around, and that he's going to keep up doing what he does, and it's something that what I love about Raider Nation is the fans are really
Oh yeah.
worldwide. Like I've been to London, and the base out there is crazy. There's a ton of people that we met out there at a bar. They welcomed us in and just made us feel right at home, and that's something I really like about the Raider fan base is everybody is so welcoming, and at first I thought they were going to be like, oh, get away, you're from Vegas, so you're taking our team, but that's not the case. Everybody that I've met or encountered in person has just been real warm, and like you're all, you guys are just great to have me on, and I'm happy to be able to share my stories and be a part of this experience.
Yeah, it's actually amazing that right now, this podcast, none of us are even in the same time zone that the Raiders play in. That's how
Wow,
worldwide we are.
I was
that's
telling Heidi
amazing.
the other day we have four people on in four different time zones right now.
Yeah,
That's the information age for you.
it's
You know,
crazy,
there's a lot you
T3.
can do in this time.
Now I'm
Absolutely.
gonna pick up the ball and run with it here. So I'm gonna start referring to you now as Vegas Heidi. So Vegas Heidi, this is T3, and I'm gonna issue a disclaimer right off the bat. I live right outside of the Washington D.C. area, so while the Vegas Golden Knights were making their Stanley Cup run, it was against our Washington Capitals. So I'm going to issue an apology and disclaimer right up front. So if I can just tell you that the Vegas Golden Knights are my second favorite team, hopefully that will make a little bit of a difference there. But let me go ahead and ask this question first. What did you know about the Raider Nation before you started up with the Vegas Nation podcast, and who became your go-to to get up to speed on everything Raiders related?
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. My family is about half Raiders, half 49ers. I grew up in San Jose, so we're right there in the South Bay. You got the Raiders in the East Bay, 49ers on the other side of the bay. So it's a very split down the middle with my family. So I have most of my uncles are 49ers, and all but my cousins, a lot of them are Raider fans. So when I was growing up, when the Raiders came back in 95, we were able to go out to some games. Tailgate out there, carne asada,
Oh yeah.
Corona, hanging out. So there was a good amount of time that we would go to games. I mean, obviously, we couldn't always afford the games, but we still go to the tailgate anyway. And
Right.
you didn't always have to have a ticket to go to the game. You just come off the BART, walk over there, pick up something from the little vendors if you wanted on your way, and go find your friends and gate C or D or wherever they were. But um, the other times I've been out there was when I worked for NBC. We did a lot of, I worked with the sales promotion teams then because I didn't know, out of college, like I said, my family wasn't really like professional people who had gone to college and, done all these other types of jobs. So when I wanted to be a reporter, I didn't know where to start. I thought, oh, you get your foot in the door and then you work your way in, and so I started out in promotions. And that meant like doing different events where we would have people out and host different things around the city. And so some of the times it would be Raiders involved, and other times it was, Sharks or what have you out there. It was with NBC and ABC when it was like KNTV and Channel 11 and all of that. So then it became NBC 3 in the Bay later on when I was there, like around 2000 or so. So I was always out there and seeing the different people, Raider Nation and all. So I guess you could say I've always kind of grown up around it. I've always known what the fan base is and who the people are that are out there day to day, like Gorilla Rilla, or the different faces that you see out in the black hole. And so when I got to cover it, it was almost surreal just to be like, wow, I'm standing on a field where some of the times when I was a teenager, I couldn't even get in here. And now I'm standing on the field. This is just crazy. So, and then to the second part of your question, when, you asked like, who would I go to really kind of learn about the team? I'm kind of a self starter. So I would listen to other people's stories, like, hear what my cousins had to say about the team, or like my father and his passion for the different eras of guys that played there. And there was actually a couple guys that used to run cars that did services when I worked at NBC that were the drivers that would tell me all kinds of stories about different Raider games and things. And they're like, "Do you know what your name is? The Heidi game? Do you know what the Heidi game is?" So, I would learn different things just from different people growing up in the Bay.
Great. Well, if there's one thing that I'm really going to miss, it's those classic Oakland tailgates. There are several
Mm.
times where I didn't even make it inside the stadium; just stayed out in the parking lot the whole time. So that's one thing I'm definitely going to miss. Question number two that I had for you is: since you're right there in Vegas now, can you give us your impressions of the new stadium and the new training facilities, and what really catches your eye, or what is something that you think will really make an impression on the nation?
Well, that's a hard question because everything is just so new. It's so state of the art. Like I've been out to the Vikings new stadium, out US Bank Stadium, and that thing is just unbelievable when you see it. I mean, they've got a ship out there. But the Raiders place, I mean, it does look like a Death Star. You drive by it, and I think there's going to be a ton of accidents on game day. I think they should do something about that. I'm totally serious. I do it every time, and I know like traffic where the stadium is now, it comes to kind of a slower speed because everyone's staring at it. And now they're adding this giant TV screen on the side that's going to face out towards the highway.
Wow.
So it's going to be on during game day. I know I'm drawn to it already. So when they put that screen on and you're going to see like a life giant Derek Carr hanging over the highway, that it's going to be just really something that you open your mouth and your jaw just drops and you're just awestruck the
Or they
entire
just
time.
pull over and
And
watch
that's
the
so
game from the
far.
highway.
Right. They might show some clips. I'm not sure, how it work out, but I'm sure they're gonna have something out there. It's really amazing just to see that area was nothing. It was dirt. Like it was just a side ramp off the highway, and I remember there was like a little bar that was on the side now where I think they're making a parking lot. And the bar, I remember way back when my family first moved to Vegas, they used to drive by it, and one of my like friends was always saying that he was going to go and buy that place because no one ever bought the bar. I imagine now he probably would have thought that was been a good decision, but the bar now is like going to become a parking
Oh
lot.
man.
So even so, yeah, even so, it's something pretty tremendous. Just I can't wait to see it. I went out just before all of the quarantine started, and I got to do a tour there. And the way that they had the field trays out there growing the grass, and how they were saying the one for the UNLV and the field tray was going to come in and out. It was just really amazing. The technology that's gone into it, the thought that's gone into it. It's something that is just gonna, I think, blow us all away. And I feel like it's such a shame that we're going through this season right now with this virus, that all the work that these guys have put in, who knows who's going to be able to
Yeah.
see it. And that's what's going to be hard, I think, about this season, not just for the Raiders, but
Yeah,
for
because
fans.
we already had the draft taken away from us. So many of us were looking forward to going to that stadium and seeing it in person, but that didn't happen because of the virus.
Mm-hmm.
And the last question I
Yeah.
have, it's not really virus related, but in light of all the social unrest that we've had recently, is there one player or group of players that you see kind of rising up to take the social lead for the team, or is everyone just kind of doing his own thing? And has what you've seen brought the team closer together?
I would think so, that it's brought them closer together. And as to the parts where, who's really been the voice, I think Derek Carr took a good, strong lead of coming out and saying that he can't stay quiet anymore. And then you have others like Max Crosby joining it. Tyrell Williams, though, I think has been really outspoken, as well as Zay Jones. And those are two guys that I've been hoping to talk to at some point, where I could see just, their stories and where they're coming from and how their lives have gone due to just racism or ignorance or different experiences that they've had. Because I think that's really, and it might sound cliche, but I think that's really how people will start to get through everything, is just talking and telling your stories and listening to each other and growing from those experiences. No matter how corny that sounds, I think that's how you start trying to understand other people, because I think a lot of it just comes from basic ignorance. Like, people just stare at a color. And I've had experiences as well. I'm very dark. I'm brown. My father's Mexican, Filipino. My mother's Irish, Japanese. So I've had different things on all sides of my family where, there was like some of the Irish, I don't even know that side of the family. So, my mother, I told you the story about my grandmother and my grandfather that got engaged over Khazar after a game. Well, he was Irish and he had fought in the war, World War II, and my grandmother's Japanese, and she had been interned in Manzanar.
No.
So the fact that they came together at that time in the 40s, it was a big deal. And they couldn't even get married in California at the
Oh,
time. So
wow.
I'm digressing, but they had to go up to another state with the accepted interracial marriage. So there's been a lot of things that you go through. Each person has their own unique experiences, and I think just hearing and finding out different stories about different people is truly how we start getting past the hurdles of ignorant, just the ignorance and the perceptions that are out
We're
there.
still learning as a country.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm multiracial. I've experienced racism from multiple sides. Because not only am I multiracial, but I grew up in poor neighborhoods. So, but I stand, I believe that we are making progress as a country, even though it doesn't necessarily reflect it on the TV when you're watching the news and all that. But if it's like Bill Hicks said, you're watching the news and you hear war, famine, death, AIDS, homeless, recession, and then you look out your window and nothing's happening. But, you see your neighbor and you're getting along with them. So, and the Raiders have led the way. There's a lot of people that have, the mindset that race doesn't really matter. And I think that, we as a country can, overcome all the ignorance, as you say, and that we are headed in the right direction. And, I don't know. It's a hard thing to tackle, because, it's hard. It's just hard. But I don't know.
And I do love that you brought up Bill Hicks right there. He's an
Yeah.
awesome comedian.
We can learn a lot from Bill Hicks,
Yeah.
We could learn a lot from Bill Hicks. But all right, I'll just get into my questions about the Raiders. We'll just go back to the Raiders. All right, so the Raiders, they loaded up on tight ends and running backs, and Gruden did say that he wants to run a 3 tight end set. He also stated that he wants to take it back to 1998, and he seems to be very serious about that. Now, considering how pass happy the NFL is these days, do you think that Gruden can win with an old school approach?
I think he has the right weapons in place to execute that. Yeah. It's going to be very different in today's NFL, especially when you look at just the AFC West alone and the division that they're faced with. There's a couple growing teams in there, though, like the Raiders. You look at the Chargers and how they're trying to grow. And, without Philip Rivers, what kind of complexion is this team going to have? We've been used to seeing a certain product, if you will, out of the Chargers, but now what are they going to look like? And then you see the Broncos, and I think they did very well in the draft, and just the weapons now that they have in place is going to be something. And but look at the Raiders; they got Henry Ruggs, Brian Edwards, you have Tyrell Williams, you have Zay Jones, you got Hunter Renfro, yeah, the tight ends that are all very sure-handed, and now bringing in the veteran leadership of somebody like Jason Witten, I think is just going to set this team over. When you think about that 3 tight end approach, they can execute that all day. And how they are going to be able to work that offense in this AFC West, I think if everybody stays healthy, it's definitely going to be a leading offense in the AFC West if everybody stays healthy. You got Josh Jacobs there, so the defenders going to have to look out for him. You have Darren Waller, who just put everybody on notice last season, and he's still going to be a very viable threat in this offense. And then you look over on the other side, and you have Foster Moreau and Jason Witten. It's insane, all the weapons that this team has. And their defenders are going to have a real hard time, for one, stacking the box against them. That's going to free up Derek Carr a lot this season. They have one of the best O-lines that there is right now in football. So I think the Raiders have a ton of potential this year.
So,
definitely.
Gabe Jackson was put on, just to follow up, he was put on the trade block. Do you think that may be, the fact that he didn't get traded may be a blessing in disguise? Because he is a great pulling guard.
Yeah, no, I like Gabe Jackson, and I think that altogether, if all of these starters on that O-line stay healthy, that's going to be really a force for this team. But they also picked up John Simpson out of Clemson, so he's going to be somebody that adds a little bit of depth, and they have other depth pieces that they've now added as well. So the O-line, if somebody falls out like Colton Miller, who really looked great last year in compared to the season previous, and if they keep improving that the way that they have and working together the way that they can, it's I think that's going to be tremendous for their offense, obviously, to have the force that they do on the offensive line.
Absolutely. All right, the Raiders brought in Marinelli as a potential backup plan if Gunther can't turn the defense around. Do you think the Raiders made the right move by bringing in a potential backup plan for DC, or should they have let Gunther go?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I think you got to give him this season to work with guys that maybe fit better into his defensive plan. You have a different linebacker core now. You have great depth on defensive end. You have guys that are really young, hungry, and that we're still kind of waiting to see full, I guess, force from, like a Cleveland Ferrell. I think a lot of people thought, okay, he got overdrafted last year. And so I don't think that's necessarily the case. There's a big learning curve in the NFL that you have to put out there. I mean, yes, he was picked at the 4th overall spot, so you're thinking this guy has to really come in and be dynamic right off the bat, but there's a learning curve in the NFL, and Max Crosby stepped right up to it. So it's something that I think now these two know how to work with each other. They know how to complement each other. And then you have, the D tackle and Malik Collins that they've brought in. Yeah, Corey Littleton that they brought in. There's a lot of pieces right there up at the front that are going to be good, solid building block type guys for the defense. So you have to think, okay, this is going to be the year it's boomer bust for Paul Gunther. And you're right, Marinelli as a backup plan, it's going to put the
Yeah.
pressure on him. It's going to put the pressure for sure, because he's a Gruden guy, and Gruden doesn't like what he sees. I'm pretty sure that he can switch the pieces around really quick if they're not getting the results that they want.
And one quick follow up to that question. LaMarcus Joyner didn't have a great year last season, but he is a good, solid slot cornerback. Considering that he played with Littleton, in LA, do you think that he can have a bounce back season this year?
Yeah, and I think something to be thought of with LaMarcus Joyner is that he's moved around in different places, and that was his first year back at slot corner from the previous season with the Rams. So I think that now that he's had the time to work in that position and to know the defense now, and to have other guys like to work with out there in the corners, that we're going to see how they pull together as a group. The secondary, I think, aside from the linebacker core, was the most needed area for improvement for the Raiders. And you have Trayvon Mullen now, who just, I think, had a pretty fantastic season last year. And, maybe Isaiah Johnson's healthy. I don't know where he's going to fit in yet, but we're going to see. And the other different pieces that they've brought in, I think a lot of people kind of wanted to see Eli Apple there, but I don't think there's any shame in the people that are there now, especially like Prince Amukamara. I think there's going to be people that are going to help this team and that are going to help the secondary. And we'll have to see how everything plays out once they're all working together. But I think the secondary might have been, next to the linebacker core, the biggest areas needed for improvement. And I think they've definitely upgraded, especially in the linebacker core. I mean, Corey Littleton's a beast. So these are going to be guys that are going to plug and play right away. And hopefully that'll step up LaMarcus Joyner's game as well. And it'll also complement LaMarcus Joyner's game. And I can't wait to see like a Meek Robertson out there. Yeah, that guy just looks like another little beast out there. Somebody who could kind of stop the attack right up at the front. So we're going to see how this all works out when it gets on the field. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, Trayvon Mullen, I'm thinking he's going to be the best cornerback we've had since, I guess you could say Nadi Asamoah, but I think he's going to be better than Nadi. I think he's going to be the best one we've had since Charles Woodson.
That's a high bar.
But the kid was good. He jumped a couple routes early
it.
on, and he could have taken it back to the house. He played well. He played in position. He turned his hips and everything. He looks really good. But we'll see. All right. So another big signing was Mariota. Now, Derek Carr has thrown for 4,000 yards last couple of years under Gruden's offense. He's a great short yardage quarterback. Ruggs is coming in. He's a great short yardage, yards after the catch wide receiver. So I think that's a good pairing. I think Carr will start. Of course, they signed Mariota for 2 years. I think Carr will beat Mariota out in those 2 years. But do you see Mariota coming in when the offense is in the red zone or even in short yardage situations to run RPOs?
I like that idea. I hadn't thought of it personally, but I like that idea. Yeah, I think the thing with Carr is, the short yardage is, 7.6 yards. I think he averages in passing per play. So I'd love to see him stretch the field some this year. And, Marcus Mariota, he's one of those guys you always kind of have to question because of the injuries that he's sustained in his career. So I think a healthy Mariota is going to be somebody who could get out there and like rip the ball out if he needs to, or I don't know that he's going to be like a Taysom Hill kind of type, if you will, but I think they also brought in Lim Bowden.
Yeah.
Who might be interesting to see out in that kind of.
That's what I was thinking. Imagine those two back there. Even Josh Jacobs, back there with Mariota. I mean, that's a dangerous threat. And Mariota can throw the ball. You know what I mean? He's just not that type of thrower that Carr is, But then, Carr is not the type of runner that Mariota is. So, I mean, I'm just thinking like if I were playing the video game Madden, just put Mariota in there, you know what I mean? But, I mean, you never know with today's NFL, right? Because back in the day, you didn't run to the sideline and throw to the middle of the field. And that's what Mahomes does to perfection now. So the game has changed so much. So and Gruden, even though I said earlier he wanted to take it back to 1998, I think that he wants to do that because he wants to control the clock. That's key. If you can keep the Chiefs offense off the field, and score 24 points with this new revamped defense, hold the Chiefs at 21, you can, that's what you want. But I could still see Gruden adjusting enough to do some kind of weird things with Mariota in short yardage situations.
Yeah, I can see that happening. I can.
All right, well, cool. Well, that's all I got. Y'all got anything else y'all want to add?
Well, I just wanted to wrap up this interview with a lead in into a very special segment. And since Vegas Heidi has the best name in the world, I thought it would be appropriate if we did it with her here. Now
Let it go.
that segment
That's really quite a compliment.
that segment, which is, like I said, the best one in the world, is called Heidi's Heroes.
Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so free. Flying away on a wing and a prayer. Who could it be?
The catalyst for our hero segment started at a game in Oakland in 1990. Only it obviously wasn't a Raiders game. It was an A's game. The little cat had gotten onto the field and was running around terrified. Finally, A's manager Tony La Russa managed to gently coax the cat to safety. After the game, Tony and his wife discovered that there was no no-kill shelter in the area. Tony and his wife found the cat a forever home and decided to do something for the other animals in the area. They founded ARF, Tony La Russa's Animal Rescue Foundation, whose motto is People Rescuing Animals, Animals Rescuing People. This foundation has rehomed over 43,000 animals since being opened in 1991 and has spayed and neutered over 40,000 animals as well. The foundation provides service animals to veterans, humane education in schools, therapy animals for those in need, camp programs for children, dog training, an animal food bank, and even an emergency fund for residents of Contra Costa County caring for the medical needs of their animals. One Raider who has worked with Tony on the foundation is the Princess of Darkness herself, Amy Trask. She sits on the Hall of Fame Board of Directors and just this past holiday season sponsored all adoptions taking place there for a week. La Russa has said about Amy, "If Amy says she's in, she's in. No excuses. Her commitment is ironclad. She has a big heart and is very caring." I love animals. In fact, I just brought mine cross-country with me as I moved 3,100 miles from my previous home. In my eyes, pets are family, and along with that, Tony La Russa and Amy Trask are my heroes.
That's cool.
And all I can say to add to that is ARF life.
ARF.
Every animal I've ever had, I've adopted or rescued, quote unquote. I never bought one, but yes, it's very important, to, have an animal in your family because they do, all the science behind it, right? The stress relief, the things that they can do, make you not feel lonely and all that, and then they help people come back from war with, blind people. I mean, animals are great. So it's cool to see that, people are doing things like this to protect animals.
Definitely. And I'd like to thank Vegas Heidi for sticking around long enough for us to go over this segment with her.
Yeah, Heidi, thanks so much for coming in.
Hey, you're so welcome. I'm glad I could join you guys.
Yeah, thank you. We really appreciate having you on with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks again to our listeners for joining us on the Only Nation podcast.
Make sure you give us a call at 904-701-8667. Leave us a voicemail or send us a text message to that number. You can also reach us at theonlynationpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Twitter and Instagram at Only Nation Pod, YouTube at The Only Nation Podcast, and we have our website, theonlynationpod.com. Find a way to contact us. Get in touch with us. We want to hear from y'all.
All right. Until next time, everyone. Go Raiders.
Go Raiders.
Raiders.